Facebook Live event. Sorry for the slight delay. Today with me I've got Michael Spooner.
Hiya.
And we really wanted to create a podcast to put on our website and the C Hub. So we kind of sort of run a little bit over time doing the recording.
Okay.
So welcome to our Facebook event this week, and I hope that last week's event with Frances that you managed to do some exercises, and some of the exercises she gave us were exercises to do at the desk. And soon we will be doing a special podcast for you. So if you're sort of sitting in front of your computer too much or in front of the television and you want a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a workout, we'll be giving you some ideas. So do visit our website and you will see or find soon enough an exercise sort of podcast to do at your desk. So as I said today, we have Michael with me. So
Okay.
Michael, welcome.
Okay. Thank you. It's a privilege. It's fantastic, and it's great to be with Croydon Vision, and I'm cool to be here.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to be here.
So Michael is joining with Croydon Vision, is one of our partners. He's going to help some of our members who are of working age to get ready for employment, to move forward in their lives and maybe do volunteering or even maybe start their own business.
Yes.
So we've brought in Michael today so he can maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, Michael.
Yes.
And
I will do.
over to you then.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm a blind person. I was born blind. I got my sight back. I've had eyesight and no eyesight, so that's a real strange thing. Got my sight back at 2. Got my sight back at 16. Got my sight. I lost my sight at 21, and I'm now 55. So I've had it up and down.
So Michael, that's unusual.
Yes,
I
it's
don't,
very
we don't
unusual.
come across a lot of people that get their sight, lose it, get it,
Yes,
lose it.
yes.
All right. So what condition was it?
Oh well,
What
it was. I had cataracts,
right.
congenital cataracts. I had
yes.
detached retinas and glaucoma.
Wow.
3 eye diseases.
Oh no.
If you have 3 eye diseases, you're not going to have much sight left.
No.
So I've had 3 eye diseases, and it went up and down, up and down.
Wow.
But what I managed to do is I throughout that process, because when I finally lost my sight at 21, I was studying law. I was going to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
But in back in the day, in 1980. In the early 80s, you couldn't, the Law Society wouldn't license blind people as lawyers.
Wow, I didn't know
So
that.
even though I could do my law degree, I can apply for my license, my Law Society license, but they wouldn't license you because that's what used to happen. So
Michael, is it fairly recently? Are they licensed now?
Oh no! Now
right.
the Disability Discrimination Act, 1995.
So that
and
made a huge difference.
Transformed the rights of disabled people and now we've got the 20 anniversary. It's 20 years anniversary now, or 25 years of the Disability Discrimination Act, and it transformed the lives of disabled people in that organisations cannot stop us from being licensed or being a professional lawyer. I was training to be a lawyer and maybe a solicitor or a barrister or an advocate. I worked for London Borough of Southwark as in the magistrates department, in their legal department, and they was paying for me to be a solicitor
to train and to develop a career.
But it's no point because the Law Society wouldn't license me, and so that's why I had to switch to become a management consultant, and that's why I became a management consultant.
So did you find that you had to go and do like some management studies?
I had to switch and study management. I did a diploma in management studies, and then I did my MSc in public service management, and then I did a master's in MBA as well.
Oh, wow.
So I had to switch over because the legal profession wouldn't allow a blind lawyer. Now there were blind lawyers, but blind lawyers who were sighted before and then lost their sight. So if you were sighted and you were licensed as a lawyer and then you lost your sight,
you could keep your license.
You could keep your license.
Oh, that was really yes.
But if you were a new blind person who was applying for a law society license, you couldn't get your license.
Wow.
So that was back in the day. I mean, we know now, 25 years later, with the Disability Discrimination Act and the Equality Act 2010 now, we are better protected as blind people,
as individuals,
I think to reach our potential.
I think, Michael, I know you're new to Croydon Vision, but we've been starting to develop like a participation in campaigns and consultations, and I always say to people it's so important because all these amazing acts and change in sort of the law are made because blind people get involved.
Yes, that's right.
You know, people did sign the petitions, took part in the consultations, and I think it's really important that we engage to change the world, to make it sort of better for disabled people.
You're right. It's important that first the Croydon Vision members get involved, but also wider friends and family and siblings and so on.
Everybody, the more signatures you have,
the more signatures the better. To get involved and realise that. And the other thing about disability is that anybody can become disabled, because 23%, 25% of disabled people become disabled through accident or so people started off as able-bodied, and then suddenly you lose your sight, you lose your hearing, you get arthritis,
and then that's when you discover that the world is not equal.
So we need to realise that anybody can become a disabled person, and so it's incumbent on all of us, Odette, all of us, to support disabled people in their challenges and stuff.
Absolutely. And so Michael, so when you started to change your career and you changed your studies, became went to management, what happened next? What did you do?
So what happened is, I switched over from law to management studies. I did that kind of work. I worked in local government. Now, local government, and I will give a big shout to local government as a brilliant employer. They were particularly in those days. I was a management trainee at the time, but they were really good at taking on disabled people, really doing the reasonable adjustments before reasonable adjustments was a concept. They looked after myself. Now, it is incumbent on each of us as blind people, as visually impaired people, to make sure you're clear about what your needs are. You've got to list out what you need help with from the employer. You can't expect employers to know how to help us if we don't know how to help ourselves.
And I think the other thing, Michael, is that there's, even within the blind and partially sighted, visually impaired world, we all have different visions.
Yes, that's right.
So I can't see the middle, somebody won't see the right side, somebody won't see this. So we can't find one solution that's going to fit all. So it's very individual, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's very individual. So what we've got to do is educate our employers, love our employers, help them to help us. And then and be really and realise that also they have to make money. So you have to be economically active or economically good for them, because they have to make money. So if I'm working for a commercial organisation and they're an advertising agency, for instance, I need to be able to meet the basic economic criteria for them. but on top of that, I still need them to adapt things and help me. So
Yeah.
we do need to be realistic as blind people and say, look, yes, I've got a visual impairment. I've got a need for reasonable adjustments and assistance,
Yeah.
and we've got to meet our employers'
Yeah. I
needs
think
at
that
the same time as them helping us
Yeah.
to meet our needs. Yes.
I think when you come with your solutions,
Yes.
then you're winner really, aren't you?
Yes. You need
Yeah.
to do solutions. Be
So
solution
Michael,
focused.
what were your solutions? Can you
Yes.
give some of yours just so we
Okay,
get
I'll
an
give you some of my
idea?
solutions. So the first solution for me is that you need to be confident in your strengths, play to your strengths and not your weaknesses. So focus on strengths. So all of us as blind people, there will be 2 or 3 things that we excel at, and you need to focus on those. There'll be lots of things that you're not particularly good at. We know
Oh, we're people,
that's
people, aren't
work,
we?
but that's work in progress.
Yes.
And I think all of us.
So what is your strength, Michael?
But my strength
Yeah.
is, well, I'm a consultant, I'm a management consultant, I'm a business analyst. So I'm very much an academic. I do a lot of thinking,
Yeah.
analysing,
Right.
sorting things out, and working solutions. So I'm a
Yeah.
very solution-focused
Yeah.
person. Secondly, I'm very research and development person, and
Okay.
I'm
So data, you're
data and
yeah.
analysis and statistics
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And then the third thing is that I'm more to do with the people.
So you're good communicator.
Communication.
Yeah.
working
I can
with
hear that, Michael.
and I
You're
really
good at
want-
talking.
people.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to help people. I'm
Yeah.
quite happy to connect with people, and I'm quite
Yes.
happy to sort that whole process out. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes you've got to focus on your key skills,
Yeah.
recognise your weaknesses,
Yeah.
but also be prepared to learn and
Yeah.
develop and grow as a person.
And Michael, on a kind of very practical sense, in an office environment where
Yeah.
you go to meetings,
Yes.
you get emails, you have
Yeah.
to correspondence.
Yeah.
So what are your solutions on that
Well,
kind of?
my solution. But first thing is, I've been a blind person since I was 21. I'm now 55. What's that? That's
A lot of years.
30, a lot of years. But I've always had a support person,
Ah.
a support worker.
Yes.
Or I don't call them a support worker. They're usually a PA or personal assistant, whatever.
Yeah.
They have various job titles.
Yeah.
But I think as a blind or vision impaired person, you need to get your head around what is the right person for you,
Yes.
who's going to support you, what's their personality. You need somebody that is a great support individual that's
Yes.
going to make you the best person you can be. Yes?
Yes.
And so I think there's a big thing about support which we don't talk about. We're not allowed to talk about, but we should talk about.
We should.
About having really great support people around you. And I've had great people in the last 34 years, and I wouldn't, if it wasn't for them,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I've been continuously employed for 34 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a very lucky person, but it's only because I've had great support people. You know?
So yes, I have also used a support worker several times. So I've even employed my husband.
Good.
Because
Well,
you are.
He's the best support worker.
Not always. He's
What do you
French.
mean he's not always?
The thing is that.
What do you mean he's French? That
thing
makes
is
him even better.
The thing is that when it comes to write in English,
Yes.
his
Of
English
course.
is
Of course,
his
that's different.
professional English wouldn't be maybe as good as somebody else.
Yeah, so you've got to be careful.
So I have to, as you said, you have to know what task you need to do. You have to match the skill. You have to have the right person to support you.
Yes.
So he would be really good if I went to an event, I had a
and
stall,
stuff. Yes,
I
exactly.
had to pick up, or at a conference.
Yes,
he'd-
that's right.
he'd
But you might
read-
need somebody else separate,
Exactly.
who's nothing to do with him,
Yeah,
he says,
Yes.
right, Odette, I'm going to do these 6 things for you,
yes.
and you might need that 6 things done. And they
Yes.
do that 6 things, you pay them,
And
end of
that's
story.
it, yes.
Right? And they go off and they do their thing, but your husband might then do the other stuff.
He would drive
The
me
more
around
to drive
when I
you,
needed to. Yes.
the sophisticated stuff, which is in now. So he might do that stuff, and then
So my admin
your admin
support
might do that. That's
Yes.
what you need.
Yeah.
So you need to be really hardcore on that.
You
really, really hard.
You kind of really need to know what
Really
you need to do.
need to be. That's.
And so
that's why I think the secret of success for blind and visually impaired people is get a great support person and make and manage
several,
it.
Even several for
Two,
different
you might
things.
need three. You might 2 or 3 because
Yeah.
sometimes I have a reader.
Yeah.
I have a admin support person.
Yes.
And then I might have a person that comes to me to meetings.
Yeah.
They're different skills. They're not
Yes.
the same person.
Yeah.
You don't assume that your admin person can do everything. They can't do everything.
No.
They might be good at saying, look, all day I can do all your paperwork
Your emails or
and your emails and
yeah.
and I can assist you in that. Your husband says, well, I can do all of that.
Yeah.
And then the other person says, well, look, I can do all the other things.
Absolutely.
And you need to be able to do those 3 things.
Yeah.
And separate. Don't assume that one human being can do it because they can't.
No.
I think the government wants you to have one person because the system is set up for one person. But you need to have 3 people.
And just to let our listeners know,
Yes.
the personal assistant is part of the access to work package.
Yes.
So the salary, if you want, of that person is paid by DWP
Yes.
to support disabled people into employment.
Yes, under the Access to Work scheme. So
Yes.
it's a really important scheme. It's been going since 1973.
Wow. Yeah.
And it used to be called the Manpower Services. It had different names.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's Access to Work, and we need to make sure that all blind people, all visually impaired people need to, if you're going for an interview, you can apply for assistance for the interview.
Yeah.
If you're in work, if you're running your business, self-employed, you can apply for Access to Work. It's really important.
And the way the government doesn't provide that person, you have to go
Yes.
and advertise, recruit,
Yes.
train,
Yes.
and that person
Yes.
can either come from an agency
See,
or be self-employed, but they
Yes.
will have to prove it.
Yes, that's right.
Because
yes.
DWP
and
will
do
ask
invoice,
for it.
and invoices and stuff
yes,
like that.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it has to be done properly, and a proper employment contract or self-employment contract.
And I think that's really important because you might look at how do you call it? You might look at vacancies and say,
Yes.
oh no, I can't do that, I can't see. But in
Yes.
fact, if you had a support worker,
Yes,
you'd
you
be
can
able to
all
do
of
that
Oh,
bit.
Of course, it's
So
brilliant.
so that's
So
really good.
I think it's a really powerful tool,
Yeah.
and honestly, I believe it's one of the best. I mean, the Access to Work scheme is probably one of the best tools that blind people or visually
I
or
tell
disabled
you
people have.
another one,
Yes,
Michael. Well, technology, the advancement of technology, of the voiceover, of Siri, the mobile
Yes.
phones,
Yes.
they have really, I mean, come along,
Yes.
and we can now, do a lot of
Yeah,
computer
a
work
lot
that
of
we
that we couldn't do
MS
before.
DOS didn't do
Yes,
before.
I know. Back in
I
the
remember
it's true.
MS DOS.
It's true. It's true. So no, the technology's come along, but it's still.
There's still little bits in between.
There's still little bits in
Yeah,
between.
yeah.
But I think you're right. We are lucky to have some advancement in the technology
Yeah.
and so on. But I do think we do need. I think the support worker thing is the biggest human
biggest thing,
technology.
yeah.
That's going to make it
We
work.
need both. And
Yes.
so, Michael, moving along in your
Yes,
career,
yes.
you became sort of, did you actually start your own business?
I started my own business in 2001.
Yeah.
It became nearly £1 million business.
Wow.
We got really big.
Yeah.
We moved from Camberwell in South London to the city. Big premises. Big.
So what was your employment
I used to
about?
employ up to 7 to 8 staff.
Yeah.
As a consultancy, and then we went and we worked. You got the 2008 crash, so we had to shift and reshape the business. I went to work for a big consultancy firm at the time. We moved the company on. We sold our premises to a media company. And then I did a bit of academic stuff, and then I did my MBA 2009 to 11 or 12, and then I did a bit of freelance. So yes, I've moved. what I think the lessons I would say learning is that sometimes you have to evolve with the market. You have to go
Yes.
with what happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I was just going to have a bigger company. I was getting bigger and bigger.
Bigger, yeah.
We employed 7 staff, 8 staff, and so on. And then sometimes it doesn't work out that way. And then I moved on to the next phase of my life.
So did you then go back to learning new skills and new knowledge each
learning
time?
new skills, some academic stuff, lots of practical skills, reflecting on how I could do things better.
Yeah.
Refining some of my practice and stuff. So sometimes we have to do a bit of that and a bit of refining of that. And it's not you don't stick to just the same thing. Or that sometimes you have to refine and reshape
and reinvent yourself. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of that going on. And
I think for everybody, it's not just blind people.
Oh no,
I think it's the way the world has become the last, 10 or 15 years. People seem to gone are the days where you had like a job for life.
Yes, that's
or
right.
a company for life.
Yes.
You have to kind of constantly learn. I think that's one of the things. You have to invest in yourself in a way.
That's right. Put time, money and effort in yourself.
Keep growing.
Keep growing and refining and reshaping yourself. And I think that's the key. And I think being visually impaired, it makes it even more imperative that you do that kind of work. And I think we got to.
Absolutely. We have Ola here in the corner, who's our fantastic technician. Ola, are there any comments, any questions that have come up?
We've got a question saying, should companies have a corporate responsibility to employ visually impaired people?
Yes. Well, I think, Ola, thank you. I think, yes, they do have a corporate responsibility, and I want all companies to have the double tick. The Job Centre Plus used to have the double tick symbol where you used to be able to, when you employ somebody, you used to be able to give a guaranteed interview. I think that should be. Secondly, I think employers need to make sure that reasonable adjustment and accessibility is mandatory. It's a standard stuff. And I know that we got rid of the 3% quota back in the day in the old thing, but I actually think that we should be saying a certain percentage of our employment should be disabled people. I think we should give disabled people a chance to be employed, and I think we should have a certain percentage. But it's controversial because we don't want people to be employed just because
they're disabled.
Just because you're disabled.
No.
But we want. But
I think there's enough now disabled people that are at the right educational level that use technology. I think there's enough disabled people employable and who could do the job. Who are just not employed just because they're disabled.
That's right.
That maybe the quota needs to come back just for
or don't use the word. Or don't use the word quota.
Maybe we ought to use another award. Something else.
Target or something. But I don't know what the word is. But we need to come up with something to say that. Because employers are really struggling to, I'm talking about the big city firms, firms that are employing people. And there's lots of blind people who can do those jobs, but we just don't get a chance. And all I want to say is, put me in front of your employer, and I will show you what I can do. That's all blind people or disabled people are saying is, they don't want you to don't give me the job if I'm not the best person for the job.
Exactly.
But let me stand in front of you. And show you what I can do.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think it should be, that kind of thing. You're gonna all employers will say, I want you to stand in front of me and tell me what you can do.
And how you can do it.
How you can do it.
I think it's
give me a chance.
It's showing them our solutions, isn't it?
Exactly. And because a lot of the time they have all sorts of notions like I've had situations where they think, because I'm blind, they think I can't walk upstairs. Well, being blind doesn't mean
up and downstairs every day.
Your legs work.
Your
legs work when you can't see. But they think you can't. So they think, our offices are on the 3rd floor, Michael.
Well,
What's that got to do with anything?
yes.
So sometimes you ain't going to
Yes.
get the job simply because their office is on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the fact that you can't. They want you to do the job. Your application is the best application, but they're not going to employ you because it's on the 3rd
And
floor.
they're scared of health and,
And they're
safety.
scared of health and safety.
So,
Sorry.
do you think like recruiters should be educated on things like this? Because some of the time I don't think it's a situation whereby they think the person can't do the job.
Yeah.
It's more or less like we don't want to put them in a situation where they can injure themselves.
Oh.
Yes.
What do you
I think you're right, Ola, and this is why we're partnering up with Michael
Yeah.
and with the Educational Development Trust, and,
Yeah.
and together we're going to be doing an event the 5th of February.
Yes, yes.
And it'll be a virtual event for employers. We have nearly 20 employers that
Yeah.
are going to join us,
Yeah.
and it's going to be all about educating them about the access to work,
Yes.
DWP,
Yes.
about making changes in their recruitment processes to make
Yes.
them more accessible.
Yeah.
Michael, you'll be presenting
Yes, I will do.
as well.
Yes.
And it will be about education employers, but also helping our members who are on the Vision Works program
Yes.
to present themselves to
Yes,
employers, to
yes,
say,
that's
hey, look, I'm here,
Yes.
here are my skills,
Yes.
I'm ready to be employed.
Yes, that's
So-
right. I know. I think employers do need to be helped, but in a gentle way, in a
Yes.
respectful way.
Yes,
We want to say to them, these are the adjustments, these are the accessibility changes. Most of them don't cost a lot of money, Ola. Most of them are quite cheap. Most
Yeah.
of them are things that they can do within their really, really constrained budget. So where we say to them, you can do some of these changes, but they need to be done within existing budgets, and we
Yes.
can help you, we can advise you. Croydon Vision will be able to, because Croydon Vision has a vision awareness accessibility program,
training,
training program that can help them, and we'll be asking them to say, well, if you need help, come to Croydon Vision,
absolutely.
and we can help them to do that kind of work.
And I think then the other thing is that, I mean, for example, for myself, Michael, I'm the only visually impaired person in my family.
Yes.
So
okay,
within
yes.
my family,
Yes.
my mum, my dad, my
Yes.
brother, my uncles, they've never seen a blind
No,
person around.
no.
So you can well imagine that an employer,
Yeah,
the HR department,
they
they
will
would have
never-
never seen a blind
They will
person.
never see a blind
So
person at all.
They can't have the imagination or the concept.
Yes.
How can a blind person
Do
fit
this.
in the team, do
Yes.
this, be at the computer?
Yes.
How can they come to a meeting? They're
Yes.
going to have all those questions.
Yes.
And like you said, Ola, it's about just not knowing, not having the experience.
Yes. Yes.
So it is about being gentle as well.
Yes.
And showing them the reality.
Yes, that's right.
You know,
I love
and that's partly why we're inviting you.
Yes.
Because here we are, both of us.
Yes, that's right. We're the
We are the living
the
proof
living proof.
that
the
it's
living
possible.
live and direct. Yes.
Yes.
So Ola, any other questions? What we got?
So as most people just agreeing with the point that you made about companies being scared of hiring visually impaired people, saying the thing about our offices are on the 3rd floor and things
Yes,
like that.
that's right. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're worried about us
Yes.
spilling the coffee.
Yes, that's
or,
all.
how are they going to go to the loo as
Yes,
well?
oh yeah,
You
how
know, all these things.
things. And you wonder, where does all this stuff
And
come
you sort of
from?
think, but I do it every day.
I know,
I think it's a general knowledge thing.
It
whereby
is.
It's based on what
Yes.
they portray people as on TV.
Yes, that's
So
right.
it's more
Yes.
something like
And-
that.
and
But Ola, do we have positive images of blind people on TV?
We have a few, there are a few
So where
ads.
do we have
Guide dogs have a few eyes
do
on
we have
an
a-
ID.
Do
But
we have positive images on TV?
In movies,
No.
we don't. I think
We
that
don't.
the only movie
I
that
can't think of any.
the only movie that
Daredevil,
that was what I was going to say. That's the only movie I've ever thought of. in
and
my
he's the
life.
only positive.
Yes, that's the only.
He's the only positive
and he's
dude.
fictional.
And he's
as well.
fictional.
Yeah,
He's not
that's the
even
only
real.
person that I thought, oh, it'd be nice to be blind because he can
Yes.
still see basically. But
Yes.
that's the only thing.
Yeah, we don't have positive people who are blind on TV.
Role models.
Role models or
Yeah.
nothing, and that's a real problem for
Blind people and employers, really.
Yeah, and employers and sighted employers out there who well, but I just don't get it. I don't know I don't know.
Yeah.
What can blind people do? They haven't seen any
That's
positive
it.
image.
But and equally, Michael, a lot of people, as you say, become blind in later life.
Yes, they do.
Become blind when
Yes.
there's an accident
Yes.
or another health condition,
Yes.
and they themselves, you're sitting there at the hospital,
Yes.
you've been told you're blind, you've been told there's nothing more we can do,
Exactly.
and you sit there, so what am I going to do?
Yes.
And I think
yes,
in the
yes.
general public,
Yes.
it's not known as to, what
Yes.
is possible.
Yes, that's right. I think that there isn't enough information in the
Yeah.
normal community out there.
In books and
where
stories,
books and stories
films,
to say, and even
Yeah.
amongst younger people, to say, look, blind people, there's a positive thing. Losing your eyesight isn't the end of it.
it's hard.
You
but
don't.
it's
It's
not
hard.
the
It's
end.
hard. You've got to work hard, but it's not the end. And
Um,
we need to be positive. So Croydon Vision's job and
it
our
is-
job
yes.
is to tell them out
The
there
world.
and other blind organisations,
Yeah.
RNIB and everybody else, our organisations are to say it's not the end. There's a positive
Yeah.
story, and I want to tell the positive story. On the 5th of February, I'll be talking about my positive story at
Yeah.
the event.
No,
And I
really
think
good.
there'll be I really want us to really talk about.
And
how we do it.
and Michael, we are sort of populating our website, our
Yes.
C Hub, with stories, with
Yes.
case studies, with people
Yes,
that have.
yes,
Because everybody's going to come at from
Yes,
a different angle,
yes,
a different
that's right.
experience,
Exactly.
and I think to have a lot of positive, role models,
Yes,
case
yes,
studies,
yes.
is really encouraging,
Yes, you're right.
and
you're right.
gives people hope
Okay.
and confidence to move forward.
It's true. Thank you. That's
So,
really good.
so thank you, Michael, for coming today.
Okay, thank you. That is a pleasure. It's a
And
privilege.
it's really
Thank you.
nice meeting you, and
Yes.
thank you for sharing your experiences
Oh,
and your stories.
It's just great fun. We just keep going. We keep making it work.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to hearing you on the 5th of February.
Yes. Oh, yes, we will do. We'll do some work around that time. But we'll be around. Me and you will
Yeah,
be.
absolutely.
We're working with 5 blind and visually impaired individuals around work coaching. I'll be doing some work with them, and so you'll hear about their case studies and their
journey, yes.
fantastic journeys.
Oh, they've got another person, David Blunkett.
Okay.
That's they're saying that's another positive.
Yeah, he is. David Blunkett is
Yes,
one.
David
Well, he
Blunkett.
became Home Secretary. He was
Educational
Education
minister, yeah.
Minister. He's the 3rd most powerfulest person in the country, and he was blind. And so we know you can make it. We know you
Yes.
can do it.
Yes.
We know it can be done.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And so everybody make sure that you join us next week. And next week we're going to have is it about volunteering next week?
Access and
Yeah.
travel.
Oh no, it's Karen Underwood. Yes, it's a lovely Karen Underwood from the sensory team who's going to come and talk about their work, about how she can help people to get confidence, get out of their house, travel around Croydon, and how you learn a route. If you're blind and you can't see, how do you get out and about? So Karen is going to come and talk to us about that. So don't forget to join us, to keep your comments coming in, to share our stories, and stay safe and stay well. Bye for now.
One more
Thank
quick
you very
thing,
much.
sorry, before
One
you.
more question. Ooh,
It's
they
just
keep going.
about technology as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
Because most people don't know that there's enough technology out there to support
Yes.
blind people.
That
Yeah.
is
And as
true.
you say, I didn't know as well. When I started this job, I was telling Catherine that I know there's a couple of technologies out there,
Yeah.
but I didn't know there was this much because there's people, I've been around visually impaired people now, I know they can effectively do their job,
Yeah.
and there's technology that helps them be
Yes.
able to do it, but
Yes.
many people don't know this, and I feel it's because maybe visually impaired companies also, they're not promoting themselves enough.
They
Yes.
don't
They-
have a lot of money. That's the
Yes.
thing. You see, the specialist equipment is already quite expensive,
Yes.
and they're not selling that much because in the end,
Yes.
we're not in the millions, if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want.
There's not
And
enough
so
of
they
us.
don't
Yes.
probably themselves don't have enough money to do a lot of promotion
Yeah.
within the wider
Yeah.
world.
Because you've got things like Humanware.
Yeah,
Humanware.
Vision Aid.
there's
Sight
certain
and
companies,
sound.
sight and sound.
Yeah,
There's
but
a
I
lot
feel
to
like
learn
it's the visually impaired people in themselves, whenever they
Yes.
get that news, they just write off everything else that's
That
around.
is true.
Yeah.
If they had maybe like we were saying, if they had maybe 4, 5, 6 very massively successful visually impaired people,
Yes, that's what
and
it is.
those ones were using technology or the
Yes.
whatever,
Yes, yes.
it would make them want to sell more because it kind of creates
Yes.
a story that it doesn't end the road for
Yeah,
you. You can
yes,
still do great
yes.
things.
Yes,
There's also a lot of work to be done at the hospital when people are diagnosed.
Yeah.
Because suddenly we were saying you're diagnosed and you're told and you think that's the end, how can I do things?
Yes,
And you
that's
get a blank, you just
Yes.
don't know.
You don't
And
get
so
you don't get any help. Yes, yes.
It's when a person gets the information
Mm.
and about employment, technology, this, that, you know, the
Yeah.
sensory team, all the
Yes,
help.
yes,
That is
yes.
not general knowledge.
Yes, that's right.
It's not
yes,
general
yes.
knowledge.
Yeah, the
So
technology people got to do a bit more. They got to
there's
pull
a
their
lot
finger out.
of work.
Yes,
There's a
and
lot of
I
work
want
to do.
I want something like Microsoft to just take
Yes.
over that whole thing
Well, I
and just
thought-
make the whole thing. Because they got the money to just
Yes.
say we're gonna make everything Microsoft compatible,
Yes,
and they can do it all,
and everything
and it would be
accessible.
yes,
Yeah.
and I think we'll get better things.
And you don't need to buy extra software to
Maybe,
add on.
maybe we should write to Bill Gates because the
Yes.
brother's got a whole heap of money. That right? That brother's got money. You know?
He has
So
indeed.
let's write to Bill Gates and say, look, why don't you just do an accessibility project where you
Yes.
you make an accessibility unit, you know, because they've got you know all these little companies do
And promote it.
and promote it
Because
and
that's
say,
what you were saying,
well,
Nola.
well,
Yeah, but I think even for that, they probably still need some visually impaired people to come forward.
yeah, we need to
So
come. Well,
yeah,
that's what.
so they can know what we
Yes.
actually
Yes,
because
yes.
it be
Yes.
they try with the Windows system where they put
Yes.
accessibilities on the phones and everything else, so
Yeah,
you can actually
yes.
operate phones without
Windows
being
don't
able
force-
to.
yeah, it
Yeah,
do-
but at the same time, you need to
yes.
be
So,
in contact with
well,
person that say
we-
this is what we need.
You're right,
This
you're
is
right.
yeah.
And you know, this is what we do with our Facebook Live. We've had Ola, Catherine, we've had quite a few of technology events. We're putting it on a C-Hub
Yes,
with
yes.
the employment events.
Yeah.
So we're doing our bit at
Yeah,
Croydon.
yes, that's right. Yeah,
And
I know.
that's part of
I know,
of the
but
role of
I
Croydon.
think it's a bigger movement for
It is.
government and for the bigger disability movement.
And we have some of our members in their 90s that
Yes.
email their family in
Yes, yes.
in
Listen,
Australia.
listen.
You know,
When
so
I-
age is not a
listen, when I'm
limit.
look, when I'm 80,
yes.
when I'm 80 and I'm blind, you know what? I'm not bothered, you know. I'm just gonna be. I mean, that's the problem. When you're 80 or
Yes.
90, and I'm sitting here,
Yes.
I'm not energized to do anything because I've had my
Oh,
life.
you don't know. You
Oh,
don't know.
well, you're not going to be dancing at
I
night.
will.
You
I
will
will.
not be dancing. Your poor arthritis legs will not be well. Your poor husband will not be moving. He wants to do the tango with you, and he won't be able to do the
We
tango
will.
with you.
We'll do it slowly.
He
but
won't
we
do
still
that.
will.
What you and the tango? No way. You ain't doing the tango with your
I will
husband.
see you in a few years' time. And
What,
we'll
you-
talk again.
What you doing the tango with? What? At 80? No way.
Definitely.
No way. Your poor husband. He ain't doing nothing. Yeah, but he's going to come and go, you know what, Odette? You know what? We're just going to sit down and have our coffee, have our Ovaltine. We're having our Ovaltine and
And
our...
we'll be emailing all the time of the great one children.
or Milo. Milo. You're too young for Milo. This brother's too young for Milo. But you're going to have your Milo or your Ovaltine. And you and your husband are going to be sitting down and you're not dancing to the tango. Look, where is it? When he come in, when he come in,
I will write this in a bubble,
yes,
and
right.
when we are 80, we will look at it and we shall
Yes.
see.
You talk to him and say to him, well, look, love, are we going to be doing the tango at 80? And see what he says. See what he says.
Okay, Michael, I'll put you to it.
See you later.
Okay, everybody,
God bless
thank you for watching our Facebook Live.
God
And
bless
see
you.
you all next week, with Karen Underwood from the Croydon Sensory team.
Yes.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
And thank you, Michael,
Take
for joining
care.
us.
See you later.
Bye.